Bitcoin. We're going to break down exactly how the gears of this digital machine actually turn. To do that, here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off by establishing what Bitcoin actually is. Then we'll unlock the mystery of the blockchain. After that, we'll dive into mining and digital scarcity. Then we'll ground the whole thing in the real world by looking at security and usage before zooming out to cover the controversies and its lasting global impact.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1. What exactly is Bitcoin? The origins of digital money.
So at its simplest, Bitcoin is just a system for sending value directly over the internet, completely bypassing a central bank. The origin story is surprisingly brief, but hugely impactful. It was introduced back in 2008 by someone using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto, and by January 2009, the very first network was up and running. The core idea was completely revolutionary: functional, peer-to-peer digital money without any central authority pulling the strings. But that revolutionary idea instantly brings up a massive question. If Bitcoin is purely digital, what's stopping someone from just copying it? Think about it. If you can copy a digital photo 1,000 times, why not a digital coin? How in the world does Bitcoin solve this duplication problem without a central bank there to check the math? Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, unlocking the blockchain. This is literally the engine room of the whole operation. The answer to that copy-paste problem? The blockchain. You can think of it like a giant distributed digital master record book that logs every single Bitcoin transaction ever made. These transactions get bundled up into chronological batches, which we call blocks, and then they're mathematically chained together. But here is the secret sauce. Instead of hiding this masterbook in some heavily guarded bank vault, identical copies of it are maintained by participating computers all over the world. Because this whole setup is completely decentralized, secretly altering the transaction history is, well, it's virtually impossible. Let's say a bad actor tries to fake a transaction on their copy of the ledger. The thousands of other computers in the network are going to look at their own copies, realize the fake one doesn't match, and simply reject it. It's essentially security through mass consensus. So you're probably wondering who exactly is running all these computers and what's in it for them. That takes us to Section 3, mining and digital scarcity. Let's look at the mechanics of trust and the fascinating economics keeping this system alive. To keep the network secure, Bitcoin uses a system called proof of work. Basically, specialized computers, which we call miners, are required to perform an incredible amount of computational heavy lifting. They're essentially racing against each other to solve complex cryptographic math problems, and they do this to verify that new transactions are totally legitimate. So here's how this cycle plays out in real time. First, a transaction gets broadcast to the network. Immediately, those miners get to work on that computational heavy lifting. As soon as a miner successfully creates a valid block, the network accepts it and locks it into the chain. And for all their hard work securing the network, that winning miner gets rewarded with newly minted Bitcoin plus transaction fees. But there is a massive caveat here, and it's a specific number: 21 million. The absolute total number of Bitcoins that can ever exist is permanently hard-capped at exactly 21 million. No more, ever. This predetermined limit is literally the foundational characteristic of the entire ecosystem. Just contrast that for a second with traditional fiat currencies, right? Like the dollar or the euro, where the supply can be endlessly adjusted based on monetary policy and central banks. Bitcoin completely flips that paradigm. It relies entirely on math, strictly following permanently encoded rules. Because of that strict 21 million limit, the network has to carefully pace how fast new coins are created. Enter a mechanism known as the halving. Roughly every 4 years, the reward given out to those miners for creating new blocks is literally slashed in half. The whole point of this mechanism is to gradually, predictably slow down the creation of new Bitcoins until we finally hit that maximum supply. It's a built-in enforcer of digital scarcity. All right, let's step out of the engine room now for Section 4, security, usage, and volatility. What does all of this actually mean for everyday users in the real world? Because Bitcoin operates completely without a central bank, traditional bank account numbers just do not exist here. Instead, your transactions are tied to digital addresses. And to control the funds at that address, you use something called a private key. It's a cryptographic secret proving you own the funds. And I really need to emphasize this point. Losing that key means losing access to your Bitcoin forever. There is no customer service hotline you can call to reset your password. When it comes to Bitcoin, personal security is absolutely paramount.
To manage those private keys safely, people use digital storage solutions known as wallets. These could be software apps on your phone or dedicated physical hardware devices. Out in the real world, this translates to all sorts of uses, from direct everyday payments and long-term savings to speculative investing and completely frictionless international money transfers.
But we absolutely have to address the elephant in the room: volatility. It's incredibly common for the price of Bitcoin to swing wildly, rising or falling significantly over really short periods. Because of this, its users are kind of divided. Some treat it strictly as a highly speculative asset, while others view it more like digital gold, a secure way to hold value completely outside of the traditional financial system. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, Controversies and Lasting Impact. Let's zoom out and look at the big picture, because Bitcoin's rise definitely hasn't happened without some serious friction. Let's impartially walk through some of the major, valid criticisms the network has attracted. First up, that proof-of-work mining process we talked about, it can consume substantial amounts of electricity, which heavily depends on the energy sources being used. Second, because it's digital and borderless, it has unfortunately been associated with scams and outright theft. Third, it has absolutely been used to facilitate illegal transactions. And finally, as we mentioned, it's a huge magnet for high-risk financial speculation. Oh, and there's also a massive misconception out there regarding privacy. A lot of people think Bitcoin is totally anonymous. Actually, scratch that, it's pseudonymous. Because the blockchain is a perfectly public ledger, these transactions can often be deeply analyzed and traced by anyone who has the right tools. But look, despite all of that friction, Bitcoin's overall impact has been totally undeniable. Its biggest achievement was simply proving that a decentralized digital currency could actually work on a truly global scale without some central authority controlling every move. It really was the digital age's ultimate proof of concept, and it completely accelerated worldwide interest in blockchain technology. So, that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. We know what Bitcoin is today: a decentralized digital currency secured by cryptography with a hard-capped supply of 21 million. But looking ahead, will it actually become an everyday global form of money? Will it just settle in as a digital store of value? Or is it going to evolve into something entirely different that we don't even have a name for yet? The ultimate fate is still unwritten. But one thing is for sure: Bitcoin has fundamentally changed how the whole world thinks about money, ownership, and value.